things first. Let's get started. So first I want to have you introduce yourself. If that's okay, introduce yourself, and then I'll explain why I chose your ministry as an impact. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, I am Pastor Verngina. Most people go by Pastor Vern because, just cut it off short. But I am the pastor of Greater Victory Ministries in Suitland, Maryland. We just celebrated our 4th-year anniversary in November. So to God be the glory. Well, we're still in November, but yeah, just a couple of weeks ago, November
Okay.
6th. And, this pandemic, some people may see it as a curse, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a blessing because
Yes.
um, even though we did not have a building, I'm
Mm-hmm.
thankful that we're still able to reach people, and that's what
Yes.
it's all about. So yeah, I'm a mother of 2 beautiful children. They're
Yay.
grown, thank
Mm-hmm.
God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are 29 and 33. I have a
Okay.
daughter and a son. And
Okay.
I also have a 9-year-old going on 90 granddaughter.
Don't they all?
Yes. So I,
Yes.
I love them to life. I do.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
do a lot of other things outside of ministry too,
I know. We're gonna get into all of that. See,
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons why I chose you. So let me explain why I chose you as the impact interview person. For your ministry, one thing that I recognize is how much you're doing and making an impact on the people without a building.
All right.
That's the part that people don't realize. And see, what I'm not sure you realized it, but one thing about me is I don't always say anything, but I'm always watching. And that's the thing about God. God's always watching us. People are always watching us, and we never know the impact that we're making on the people who don't say nothing.
True.
And so when I first seen your ministry and seen what you were doing, and I said, come on here now, Pastor Ver. You are a pastor, you a mama, you a grandmother, you are always traveling. I do see that. And you are now in the jury business, which I am amazed by, because that is another thing that is add to your hat of different things that you do. So tell us about that. Tell us a little bit about your jury business.
Well, my jewelry business, I actually, a member of mine,
Okay.
she started out selling it, and I was
Okay.
buying so much from her. She was like, "Well," call me Pastor Suge. She said,
Uh-huh.
"Well, Pastor Suge, you might as well go ahead and be a consultant." And
Yes.
so I did. I'm like, listen, I have so much jewelry, but
Yes.
it gives me that platform to
Mm-hmm.
still reach out to people, and I
Yep.
can minister to them as well while I'm doing that. Listen and motivate them as well,
Yep.
because a lot of people, you can have the right talk, but you also gotta have the right look, depending on what the business is. So if you're
Yes.
out selling jewelry, you also have to have the look. I won't say no names, but I know of another person who was selling the jewelry. And what
Uh-huh.
she did one day, she had on, because I know her, she had on
Okay.
a sweater, but she had it backwards so
Okay.
that she can cover up
Hmm.
her, no, 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 no,
Oh.
so she can
Oh.
cover up her shirt. And I guess she thought it looked good, but I
Okay.
said, no, that's not the right way to do it. And then the
Yes.
hair wasn't right. Yeah, that's not.
Okay. Okay.
You
So
want, with
the
anything,
whole
you want to
walk.
be presentable.
Yes.
Hmm.
And one thing that I tell people all the time, because people ask me, well, you have different denominations. As ministry women, we know, and another thing, you guys, Pastor Vern does makeup too. She doesn't do everybody's makeup, but she does makeup too. And so being in the field that we're in, where we're wearing makeup, we're women of God, a lot of people think that it's not something that we should do. Like, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. But what people don't realize very often is, because you look presentable, because your makeup look good, because your hair looks nice, because your nails look good, because your jewelry looks good, it causes you to be approachable in ways that other pastors may not be, because now you look like they may look.
It's amazing that you mentioned that because even before I was a pastor, I was living in North Carolina, and I remember
Hmm.
I was the evangelist I should have been the associate pastor, but I was
Uh-huh.
the evangelist. I was the head elder there,
Okay.
and I used to have all of the ladies, the girls, come over to my house, and I used to do their hair and put on their makeup, and not even knowing what it would lead to today. And it was
My God.
around the time when Juanita Bynum was playing, she came out with the No More Sheets, and we would sit there and we
Uh-huh.
would watch that. And I was
Yes.
like, wow, it's amazing, when you look back as to where
Yes.
you come from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the impact.
Yes.
That's the thing, is the impact started back then. Now, I know that you said you should have been associate pastor. So let's dig into this a little bit about the pastoral side of you. Now, what is your vision? What is your vision that you want for your ministry, for people to know about your ministry? What's your mission? What do you stand for? What do your ministry stand for?
Well, our motto is we are triumphant in all things. And so with the name Greater Victory, I know that the Lord is preparing us and sending people who have gone through and is going through some really, really trying sometimes and
Yes.
don't know how to get out of things and don't know how to
Yes.
defeat the enemy. So our mission and vision is to teach people how to be free, how to break those strongholds, and how to live a full life. Listen, I'm not married. Hey, listen, I desire to be, but there are
Mm-hmm.
times when in our singleness that we have to fight. I'm not saying that the married folks don't have to fight, but listen, in all things mean all things. In every phase of your life, we have to have victory. God gives us, and the Bible and our scripture is Second
Come on
Corinthians
here.
2
Mm-hmm.
and 14, where he leads us to victory. He will
Yes.
cause us to possess victory in all things. And so as
Mm-hmm.
long as we is the head of our life, listen, we got victory. We are entitled to it because we are children of God.
Or how do you see, or do you feel like your ministry is any different compared to someone who is married, who's walking with a pastor and a first lady, or a woman who is the leader and her husband? Do you see any difference in that?
It's still always going to be a fight. It's
Okay.
still going to be because the enemy doesn't like it when we are succeeding in the things of God. But I see myself as a single pastor,
Mm-hmm.
how the enemy, because uh, the enemy will send people, and because you're single, and if you're not prayed up and stayed up, your flesh will be like, well, he could be the one. So we have to be
Mm.
cautious in how
Yes.
we perceive and receive people that come into our ministry. So
Yes.
uh, as far as you know, because I'm young, I still
Yes.
say I'm young. Listen, I'm
You
over
are.
50. I'm over 50, but I'm still young. I
And
still
you
have it
are.
going on.
Uh-huh. Still got it going on. Look at you. Look at you. You got it going all on.
Yes.
But so how do you keep balance in ministry and life and being a mom? Even though your children are older, I know they still need you at some point or another. So how do you balance all of that? And on top of that, now having the jury business.
Knowing how to say no, knowing how to turn my
Hmm.
phone off. And I used to play with folks and say, listen, don't call me after 10 o'clock because I'm in the bed.
They better not. Listen,
But
call Pastor Vern. Don't call me, because I say don't call me after 8. But
yeah,
go ahead.
because at some point you have to teach the people how to
Yes.
rely on God. We are not the miracle workers. We can't break every stronghold. We have to go to the one who can do all things. I can't do all things. Pastors can't do all things. So we
That's
teach the
right.
people how to not depend on us, because we're human, we're flesh, and we're subject to the same issues that you have. But we have to then teach them how to go to the cross for themselves.
Yes, that is so. Listen, this is so hard for me because I'm hearing so many questions. So, how do you, or what makes you? Because you have a lot of pastors that find themselves. I don't want to say playing God, but they are the God in their members' life. How do you find the balance in that by itself? How do you keep your members from feeling like you don't want to be bothered rather than you need to depend on God? How do you distinguish the two?
Listen, because the Bible says, "Know them that labor among you," and so in ministry, I want to be able to go to sleep at night. You
Yes.
know, and I don't want to be a part of everything that the members do, because they are not my people, they're God's people,
They're
first of all.
God's people.
And I don't want to be a part of everything. I don't want to be a part of them, helping them make decisions as far as, should I get the job, should I buy this car? Because I've been in ministry like that, where we had to go to the leader, and I'm like, this is not God's will. We are
It's not.
all grown people. We are, and God will help us with everything that we go through. So I want them to be dependent upon God, and dependent upon, that's why I always tell them, go to the word of God, find out what you should do. If you have a relationship with God,
Yes.
he will then tell you and help you to make
Exactly.
those important decisions. Don't include me if I should pay my bill this month. Listen, you should know better by now.
You better know better. You better know better.
Yes.
Okay, so when you just said you've been in a ministry that was like that before, so I can say, is it okay for me or safe for me to say that you don't believe hurt people hurt people?
Um, I do, because if you're
Uh-huh.
still hurt and you're not healed, you're not
Mm-hmm.
delivered, it is possible that you can still
Okay.
hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
But when you are hurt and you find out that you are
Mm-hmm.
broken, you
Yes.
find out you are wounded, you then have to
Mm-hmm.
go through the necessary steps to be healed, and go through that step to be detoxed from the people that hurt you, from the things that they've done to you. Because
Mm.
you have to understand, the Bible talks about in Colossians that we have to make room for offenses. And so
Yes.
know people are going to offend us, but when we are offended by them, we then have to release that into the
Yes.
hands of God. We got to know, listen,
Yes.
they're human.
Yes.
If it wasn't for God, there goes I. I could be the one to have offended somebody, and we offend this from time to time.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you compare, because some people believe in order to be a pastor, you have to have a building. Or in order to be a pastor, you have to have members. What do you say about that? Or what do you want to say to those people who believe that?
Listen, I would say keep trusting in God. Listen, the one thing that you have to know, and I was talking with someone the other day, is you have to know that it is your assignment.
Yes.
When if I can give an example, when Esther was in, trying out for, going, listen, I got to go through this process to see.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to be chosen to be the queen, but I'm sure she had to have known or have heard about Vashti, what they've done to Vashti. However, she still knew that after she got into the palace, that it was her assignment to
Oh
then go to
God.
the king. Listen,
Yes,
I don't
God.
know if she knew what happened or how Vashti actually did it, but you have to know that it is your assignment. When
Yes.
God calls you, listen, you just got to go forth. You
Yes,
have
you
to
got to
go
go
forth.
forward. When did you realize you were called to be a pastor, and how was your transition?
Yeah. God.
Holy Ghost questions. I'm just
It,
saying.
it's fine. I have to go way back before I met my deceased husband.
Okay.
Um, I would say probably
Okay.
1998 or so. The Lord had given me a vision of me
Mm.
standing on a stage, like in a school auditorium. I was
Wow.
standing on a stage, and all of these people were down there, and they were praying. They had their hands lifted, and they were, just right there at the altar. And I was, reaching over and praying for them. And I looked over to my side, my right side of me, and there was a man. I didn't see his stature, didn't know who he was,
Okay.
but I knew then that God was calling me to preach. And so after I got married, and the covering or pastor then was
Okay.
saying that, oh, I'm going to send you guys out, so y'all can pastor together. But, he ended up, he passed away. And then I cried and I said, God, what are you going to do about, you called me to pastor, and I didn't want to go pastor and, not being married. But
Mm-hmm.
he said, I called you before you were married. I said, Lord have mercy. And so I moved on. And even
Yeah.
after he passed, it still took me a minute. Even after, I felt the push, I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Okay.
You get older people telling you, girl, just go ahead. God'll send you the husband. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But I spoke, my current bishop, he coached me, he motivated me, he prayed for me, he saw it. He was like, oh no, you can't stay here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
So wow. What do you want to say to the people who are out here who got that same response that I got? Now, good thing is I kept on moving and I went forward, and I remember my response to him was, I understand what you're saying as my leader, but I believe God, and God I gotta believe first. Now, everybody's not like me. Some people will stand still because that's their pastor, that's who they listen to. So, what do you want to say to those people who feel like it's hard for me not to listen to my pastor, but I feel like I'm called to this? What do you want to say to them?
You have to evaluate your reason why you are
Mm,
there. If God have called you to that ministry, my recommendation,
mhm.
you have to follow your own, but my
Mhm.
recommendation is don't move until God tells you to go. Because if you get out
Yes.
there and you are not covered and you get amongst the wolf can easily eat you up. You have to be
Yes.
careful, no, still knowing that God has called you. I remember being in a ministry, and I was the second man, but I had to know him because I had the ability to lead them,
Yes.
or to maybe even lead better. I had
Okay.
to be the second man. So it's nothing wrong with being being number one while being number two.
Yes. Come
Did I say
on.
that right? Because it's the
Explain
book.
that. Explain what is number one and what's number two. So
So
explain the second man to the people.
okay, so you have a leader, and you
Uh-huh.
know that you are. Let me reverse this. Number two, you being number two while being number one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book. I'm gonna have to get the book. I'm gonna have to get the book because the book is upstairs. But
Okay.
you are in your position. You are the number two man while you are following the number one. You have
Mm.
you have a pastor and the associate pastor. So I was the
Yes.
associate pastor, and knowing that God was calling me forward, knowing that God was calling me to lead, I
Mm-hmm.
would then have to sit back while the number one, the head pastor, he leads and he makes all the decisions. It's hard sometimes when we see stuff and we're like, no, that's you shouldn't do it that way. I
Mm-hmm.
think this should be better, but they still make their decisions
Yes.
based upon how they feel the Lord is leading them. And sometimes they don't want to hear your side or your point of view
Yes.
because they may say, well, I'm the leader, I'm the head, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
pastor, so you then step back into and be humble,
Yes.
and let them do what they're doing, whatever God
Yes.
is calling them
With
to do.
that being said, I want you to release what's on your heart. and I want you to invite the people to your ministry. Tell them the location, tell them the hours of if they can watch you on what platforms. I want you to just tell everybody whatever it is that you want them to know about your ministry.
All right. So listen, this is the time and a season in our lives. You know, everybody's going through this pandemic together, but I don't want you to cancel out 2020 because God is still able to do anything. He's able to do exceedingly and abundantly far above you can ask for things. So don't cancel out 2020. God is still working miracles. He's still in the blessing business. He can still heal, save, set free, and listen. Don't cancel out what you're going through. I know you might be hurting. I know you might be crying. You might not know what tomorrow will hold. But listen, God is a God above all. He can help you and he can see you through everything. So I don't want you to cry. I know you might be crying, but I want you to wipe your tears. Wipe your tears because God is going to come through for you. When you feel like you're about to cross over on the edge, I want you to hold on and pull back just a little bit because God is about to be your helper. He's about to help you through every situation, every hurt, every pain, every tribulation, every misunderstanding, every anything that you're going through. God is about to be there for you. Listen, just don't give up. Just don't give up. God will come through for you. He will come through for you. You can find us. We are on Facebook. You can find us on Greater Victory Ministries on Facebook. You'll see my picture up there on the heading. So we are in Suitland, Maryland. We are on Facebook Live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are also every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are just having just a ball. Listen, if you need a pastor who is going to give you biblical principles, I'm so in love with God and how he gives us biblical principles and compare it to the natural so you can see and you can understand the Bible better because it's not always easy. We have the different translations, but it's not always easy to still follow. But so we're helping. We're there to help you to understand everything about God. Everything about God. So again, we are also on I just did a YouTube page, so I'm gonna try to start uploading all of our videos on YouTube. So I'm still learning. I'm gonna have to reach out to Lady K. I'm still learning about that, and we're also on Instagram, so you can follow us there. Somebody just hacked our page, but you know it's okay. We're gonna. Yes, we're getting through that.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. I just want to say thank you for accepting the invitation to be one of the interviewers for the Impact. And I am loving everything that you're doing. And I just pray a special blessing over you, a special blessing over your ministry and everything that your hands are in that has to do with God, because I know that with God, all things are possible. And I believe that God is going to use you in a magnificent way, way beyond what you can see right now. So just keep on doing what you're doing. Just keep on believing God. Keep on trusting God. And I just want to say thank you again. Thank